happened. I have here 25 books that I have read in May. I've actually decided to divide this wrap up into 2 parts because I really don't want to rush through the books. I want to be able to give you a synopsis and also tell you my honest thoughts on the books. So, welcome to my first part of my May wrap up. Let's do this. The first book that I read in May is Love Letters to the Dead by Ava Delira. I picked this up because I had heard great reviews about it on Booktube, and also people told me that this book reminds a lot of what is the book called? The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, and I love that book. So I picked it up and I read it, and I have to say this is one of my favorite books of the year. It is kind of scary how much it reminds of The Perks of Being a Wallflower, because it's basically the same book but with the point of view of a girl, and there are some different problems in this book. But that being said, this is very unique as well. This girl is called Laurel. She is being told to do an assignment in her English class to write one letter to a dead famous person, and she writes to Kurt Cobain, and then she cannot make herself hand in the letter because she feels like it is very personal. So instead she continues writing throughout the school year, and she finds new famous people to write to. Through these letters we get to know her and to know her problems. Very, very amazing book. I instantly fell in love with it and I gave it 5 stars. Then I picked up Dorothy Must Die by Daniel Page. I bought this book before all the discussions about the publications problems there are, so I really wanted to read it even though I don't really like what is going on. I wasn't planning on reading this in May, but I saw a review of it on Booktube. I believe it was Sandra Reeds who did a review. I'm not too sure about that, but I will put the link to the review down below, and she convinced me to pick it up. Now the thing about this book is it is based on The Wizard of Oz. It is a retelling of that tale, and I have never read The Wizard of Oz, so I was kind of hesitant to read this book because I didn't know if I had to know The Wizard of Oz or not. But I picked it up and I have to say I fell so much in love with it. I completely understood the story. Daniel Page is very good at explaining things to the reader. I really loved everything that happened to our main character, and I love how everything turned out in the end, and I gave this book 5 stars. Okay, next I picked up a contemporary book, and that is My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick. I read this together with Kat from Kit Kats Can Read. I have to say I was a little bit disappointed in this book. It wasn't as good as I had thought it would be. It was kind of boring, I believe. I think the first part of the story was interesting, the middle part was a little bit boring, and then the ending, something happens that really revolts everything that is going on, but I was still bored, so that's not a good sign. This is basically about a girl who lives together with her mother, and her mother is very, very snobbish, you could say. She doesn't like for people to be too outrageous, too wild and crazy, and that is what their neighbors are. Their neighbors are 2 parents and then a whole lot of kids. And it is just crazy over there. Guess what happens? Our main character falls in love with one of the boys from that family, and I like that plot. That is very interesting, I think. But yeah, all in all it was an enjoyable read, but it wasn't my favorite of all, so I gave this 3 stars. And then I picked up Ian by Alison Goodman, and that was your choice of the month of May. You wanted for me to read and review this book, so I did. And I will put the link to that review down below because I already talked about this book and I don't want to do that again, so please go check that out if you are interested to know more about this story. But I enjoyed this fantasy book. I believe I gave it 3 stars or 3.5 stars. It's a very huge book, but it's nothing compared to the second one. Then I got into a Jenny Han phase. I had never read a book by Jenny Han, and then suddenly I read all of her books at once. The first one I picked up was To All the Boys I Have Loved Before by Jenny Han. And this is so good. I was kind of hesitant reading it because a lot of people love this book, and I tend to not really like books that have been hyped a lot, especially contemporary books. But this book is just brilliant. It's genius. I've been kind of considering whether this book would appeal to boys as well, I think it's more for girls, but at the same time, if you like reading about love letters and how those love letters can create problems for you, and also about family dynamics and dealing with change in your family, then this is the book for you. I was so furious in the end because I realized that this is the first book in a series and I had totally forgotten about that. So I was sitting in the ending and was like, there's only 2 pages left, how is this going to end and wrap up? And it didn't, so I need the second book like right now. And I of course gave this book 5 stars. Then I picked up the summer series, also by Jenny Han, and let me just show you the books. First we have The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We Will Always Have Summer. I don't know how to explain this. This is perfection in a series. I really love this series. I have a thing about contemporaries. I really love reading them, that's my thing. And this is just perfection. I love this series. I don't know what it was exactly because it's pretty straightforward. We have this girl who is 16 years old in this book, and she then grows up. No, this is the 3rd book. In the first book she is 16 years old and she grows up and we get to follow her through 3 summers. And there are some boys involved, there are some family problems involved, and that's it. But really, this is seriously so great. I cannot explain it. I read it all in 2 days. I couldn't put it down. I just kept on reading, and after I had finished the series I kept thinking about it, so that's crazy. I did have one problem with the main character, and that is that she became more and more annoying, and I was like frustrated because she just really annoyed me at some points, but at the same time I was like, well, that is just realistic. An 18-year-old is annoying at times, so it didn't really bother me too much. I still gave all of the books 5 stars. Also, I think it was Regan who said that the box kind of reminds of ice cream, and I cannot help thinking about that when I watch the box now. It does remind me of ice cream. I kind of want ice cream now. The last Jenny Han book I picked up in May is Burn for Burn, which is by Jenny Han but also by Siobhan Vivian. Did I say that right? Because I didn't earlier, and now I have learned, people have told me how to pronounce her name. Siobhan Vivian. Yes. Anyway, I picked this up, I loved it, I gave it 4 stars, mainly because of the ending. The ending was like too resemblant of another movie slash book, and I think that was the intention of the authors, but I didn't really like it. I felt like it was too much, so I loved all of the book except the ending. It was a little bit too much, so but I'm still very intrigued and excited to get on with Fire with Fire, which is the 2nd book. In May I also read 2 e-books, and the first one being X Factor by Eliza Dane. And I did a review of this book as well, so I'll put the link to that review down below. I rated it just under 4 stars, and it is a great contemporary with a lot of dark points in it. I also read Branded by Abby and Missy. Yeah, let's just stick with that because I don't want to pronounce their last names. I did a review of this book as well, but it was not a video review. It was a review on my blog, so I will put the link to that blog review down below as well. This is a dystopian book. I rated it 4 stars, and it is definitely worth a read. And the very last book I want to show you in this part 1 of my May wrap-up is a very exciting book, because it is a traveling book, and I'm so thrilled that I have it in my hands. It is The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente. That is quite a title. I received this from Books, Bits and Bobs, I believe she's called, her channel name. And the original creator of this book, that means the one who started sending it out, is Sarah Churchill. Basically, it is a book that travels between persons and between countries. It is now in Denmark. I'm going to send it on to Norway after this video. I have had it for 2 weeks. My time is up. But of course I have read it and I quite enjoyed it. The thing about this kind of book is that you have to read it with the perspective of a child, because it is written for children and a lot of crazy stuff happens, but I kind of enjoyed it and I gave it 3 stars because it has so much adventure in it and it really got me excited to read about all the things that happen to our main character. And we have some messages in the book, people write in it whenever they read it, and yeah, I also read some things. I even did a drawing because I felt like it. Let me see if I can find it. I drew a cat because I felt like it. So, and in the end we have a little, a little pocket in which you can put things, and I put some Danish flags. So, very interesting, very exciting concept. And that is it for the first part of my May wrap up. I don't want for this video to be too long, so I'm going to stop it now. And I will be back again soon with my part number 2 of my GINORMOUS wrap up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Happy reading and bye bye.